Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Profit Minds podcast. My name is Dr. Stephen Kirch, and I am the professor of Protivity and creator of the Protivity Growth System, a unique blend of profit growth, productivity acceleration, and business process for scale. Every episode, I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners from around the world with a unique story to tell. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. Today, my guest is Angela Dunz of Cowgirl Creative, and we will be discussing the amazing work she does with her clients on LinkedIn. Hi, Angela.
Good afternoon, Dr. Steve.
Hey, so tell me the story of how you got here and your why of what you do.
Well, it's kind of a unique thing. I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I moved to California 11 years ago to get a CMO position with my shiny new MBA, and it never happened. And fortunately, I found a different place for me to operate in. I created some curricula for the Renaissance Center, which is an entrepreneur incubator for people who were not getting hired back into corporate America. You know, that was really close to the 2008 downturn. And the class was called Encorepreneurs. If you've always been an employee and you want to start your own gig, either as a substitute for a job or just to hold you over until you get one, if you've always been an employee, how do you start a business? So it was a 12-week course. 1 hour of it was LinkedIn. And everybody that was in the course at that time said, I'm never going on social media, or this is free. You can do this like a website for free. And so I started teaching classes once a month at the Renaissance Center to the entire membership of the Entrepreneur Center. And that's how my business was born.
Wow. That's really interesting that you found yourself unable to land a job, and so wound up teaching people how to form their own business and then forming one of your own. That's incredible. And you call your company is Cowgirl Creative. What is that about?
Well, when I was in high school, I was a high school rodeo champion. I lettered in high school rodeo.
You can letter in rodeo? I'm sorry.
I did. I know. Sorry. In Wisconsin, people are like, did you grow up in Montana? No, but I went to Montana for nationals. Yeah, it's not the kind of thing you think of. But I mean, we still have Little Britches, which is middle school rodeo as well. So rodeo is alive and well in the Midwest. And I grew up on horseback. I had my first quarter horse when I was 5, and we did everything. And so it was really kind of fun to incorporate that into the name of my business. And I really think that being a cowgirl and being an entrepreneur are really not that dissimilar. You know, you get bucked off every once in a while. You have your face in the dirt, and you have to pick yourself up and figure out, okay, that didn't work. What's next?
That's a really interesting analogy. Yeah, and I know everyone who's listening will really resonate with that. That there are bumps in the road, things that you don't expect. The horse bucks in a way that you weren't prepared for, I'm sure, right? I don't do a lot of bronco riding myself, but yeah, the idea that things don't go exactly as planned, and you have to be resilient. You have to know how to pick yourself up. So yeah, that's great. So besides the fact that you grew up riding horses, what else is it that you have in your bag of tricks that makes you unique in terms of the way you service your clients?
Well, I think I was born a marketer. I just seem to have an intuitive sense for what's going to work. And I think it helps also that I'm an introvert and an observer. It's a noisy world out there. And being able to discern what's working and what's not working at any given time takes a keen eye and a really sharp insight. And what I do for my clients really is it's boutique, it's customized. Everybody comes to me at a different point and a different comfort level with self-promotion and marketing, and a different point in their business, a different maturity with their business, maybe at a growth point that feels uncomfortable, but they all feel awkward. And I really try to give them some calm and ease and simplify it and say, don't do all that stuff over there. Just do these couple of simple things and you're going to be okay. So I really try to the whole process.
That's great to hear. Yeah, because it can be overwhelming, all of the things that you could do. And one of the things that I talk to my clients about, and is I try to stop random acts of marketing.
Yes.
Right?
Please do.
But you can do random acts on LinkedIn. You can do random acts on social media.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you really help your clients focus in on those critical things that really bring their message forward in an effective way.
There's still a lot of. Go ahead.
Before we came on, you said something about understanding the algorithms and how LinkedIn works. My. And yeah, do you want to describe a little bit of that process and again, a piece of what makes you different as a LinkedIn coach?
LinkedIn was designed as a search engine. And so it has it's like an internet inside of the internet, because it has its own separate search engine, algorithms, crawlers, all of that sort of thing. And somehow, by accident, I've become an expert at optimization. And I know that we all want more inbound. So, with my teeny tiny network, I usually get about 500 search appearances every week. I don't know a lot of people that have that number of search appearances, and I know it's because of the optimization. You really have to focus on who is it that you're serving. It isn't everybody. What is the use you have of LinkedIn? And I recommend to people that be your entry level ideal client. The people who already know you and love you, you're not optimizing for them. It's for the people that don't know. What are the search terms they are going to use? Once you understand that, it's easy to do the optimization.
That's really helpful. What's a typical situation when people finally decide they need help with LinkedIn?
Most people are super frustrated with LinkedIn. And if they decide that, yes, it's the digital era, I am going to have to just get my big girl pants on and jump into the digital era myself to do lead generation, to do branding, to increase my visibility. Generally, they're at a growth point. They don't have time. They need things to be super effective. And so they decide that they're going to have to come to an expert and get some help on how to express themselves as a professional brand, increase their visibility, and figure out how to do a little bit of lead gen.
So who is your ideal client? You just said, there's somebody that is, finally gotten to the point where they don't have enough time and they've got to get this done. They know they have to do it for lead gen, but what is, what kind of businesses are they in, and what's the size of the business typically?
I don't think the size really matters, because I work in the attorney space, and I work with anything up to global firms advising their business development department to individuals. I just finished working with an entertainment attorney in LA. So attorneys are wonderful because they're super great at what they do, but they were not taught how to market. They were not taught how to run their business. So they definitely feel late to the party, underdressed, and they don't want to be wrong. They're an ideal client for me because I can get them up and going quickly. Financial professionals, I have a tendency to work with fractional CFOs and a lot of CPAs, and they haven't made the jump to digital yet either. That seems to be their biggest thing. And then people just like me, coaches and consultants who are they're finding themselves lucky enough to be at a growth point where they know that they have to look more professional to get those better contracts.
Yeah. All of those people fall into the category of the E-myth, right? That they're really good at their work, but they're not really good at business, right? They don't get into business because they're good at business. They get into business because they're good at what they do.
Right. And, once you become an expert, to go back to being an absolute beginner and not know what's going on, that's kind of a frightening experience. And that's why I really try to make it really easy. You only have to pay attention to these couple of things, do them consistently, and you will look like an expert.
Well, and that's the other piece of it. These are all very high-level professionals, highly educated, highly trained, highly skilled in what they do. And you're right. Boy, they don't want to look anything but
Amateur.
absolutely spectacular, right? Yeah, they don't look amateur. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what is it that has you really excited about where your business is going?
Great question. My business is growing so rapidly that the challenge for me is really figuring, and I think it's the same problem that some of my clients have. So it is an exciting problem to solve, is figuring out how to scale me and scale the personalization, because what I do is so highly personal and customized. And if you are a true professional, you don't have cookie cutter programs that is one size fits all. It's your expertise and your unique insight. So I'm really excited about the team that I'm putting together underneath me and continuing to stay on the cutting edge of what's going on. Marketing has changed dramatically during COVID.
Yes.
I mean, hyper-personalization is for real. The kiss of death on social media is being generic or not adding really high quality value into the conversation. If you're generic, no one is paying attention and you really can't gain back what you lose because you're posting anything that's generic or sharing generic comments. If you don't have something to say that's adding value to a conversation, I would recommend not adding anything.
So how much time do you recommend that your clients spend on LinkedIn? Do they need to go on every day?
What I recommend is that they spend 10 minutes a day. Now, if they miss a day, it's no big deal. Nobody's going to die. But then spend at least an hour once a week really paying attention to what's going on LinkedIn. And if they can, 2 hours. That's great. And we try to set up wonderful different solutions for them, whether it's scheduling tools or using auto text expander and other productivity tools so that they can be effective with those 10 minutes they're spending on LinkedIn.
That's really good. Is there a special thing that you ask your clients, or a protocol that you recommend that they go through in those 10 minutes, or is it just jump on and see what comes out at you?
I do have a I will have an infographic soon. Right now, it's just a PDF, but LinkedIn in 10 minutes a day. And then I also have a 2-page business development checklist that my clients find very helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Would you be willing to share that with the listeners?
Certainly. And the
Okay.
caveat that I'm going to add to that is there's a lot of suggestions on the business development checklist. Pick the
Sure.
ones that work for you.
So it's sort of like a smorgasbord.
It's a
And
smorgasbord. Don't pick more than 5 or 7. Five to
that's
7.
what is it? If you focus on too many things, you can focus on nothing,
Yeah.
right?
And nobody knows what you're doing.
Yeah. So you told a couple of stories. You have another favorite story of how LinkedIn has helped one of your clients grow their business significantly?
Well, the most significant story that comes to mind for me is actually one of my own stories. Um, I think that the personalization is probably the most important thing you can do in your about section and your profile, because relationship is really, it's the only way that we consider doing business with someone. And without building that relationship, you can have all the value in the world, but if I can't connect with you as a human being, it's going to be super hard for me to pull the trigger on some sort of a program or a package or something like that. And one of my favorite examples is right before lockdown, I spoke at HR West over in Oakland, and I was getting last minute set up, and I was standing on the stage, and this really tall African American dude came walking right up to the stage. He leaned on the podium and he said, "I'm a Bears fan." I said, "Wow, you read my entire profile." And he
Because
said, "Well,
that's right down at the very bottom.
yes." And he said, "Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do if you're interested in the speaker?" And I said, "Well, you get some gold stars for today." And I said, "Is it possible that even though you're a Bears fan and I'm a Packer fan, that we could be friends?" And he said, "Well, the story gets worse. I played for the Bears."
So very large.
He looked like the fridge.
Oh my. That's a great story.
Well,
So
and it just, but I'll be friends with this guy forever because of a comment I made on my LinkedIn profile. And that was an entry point for him to start a fabulous conversation. Rather than asking me a stupid question about LinkedIn, he could go for something there was a lot more levity and personal emotional connection around.
sure. Yeah. So what if people want to get a hold of you, Angela, what's the best way? Reach out on LinkedIn, suppose?
LinkedIn would be the number one place.
Yes.
I built my business using free LinkedIn. I just didn't see the need for a website, and I'm still not so convinced that I actually need that website. So the primary focus for me is my LinkedIn profile. That's what I keep up to date and accurate. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. And on my profile, you can find all kinds of resources that are listed in the featured section. And there's also a calendar link to get on my calendar for a coffee chat if you're interested in talking about your specific situation.
Great. So I like to do this toward the end of my my interviews here. Do you have a shout out to somebody that you'd like to suggest, perhaps as a guest on the show, future guest, somebody with a unique story to tell?
I do. My friend Sarah Tutlow from Firm Focus is such an interesting story. She started out as an attorney, and she actually now is serving attorneys. And her story is great. And she sort of stumbled along a great program that she uses called ART, that helps with the zero inbox. And it's very unique and really effective. And I think she would be a great guest.
Great, thank you. Is there one last closing thing that you would like to make sure that people take away from this little chat?
I had a friend ask me just recently what the secret sauce for LinkedIn was, and that really took me by surprise. I mean, and she was really serious. She's like, cut all the crap, Angela. What's the real juice? And I said, there are 3 things. Have a great profile, have a simple strategy, be consistent, and participate in the news feed. So simple, strategic, consistent. That's
great. Thank you so much for your time, Angela. Really, really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you, and all of the wisdom that you brought to all of our folks here.
Pleasure being here, Dr. Steve.
And that concludes our show. Thanks to our guest, Angela Dunz, and thank you for listening or watching. I'm Dr. Stephen Kirch, the professor of Protivity. Make sure you catch us again next time on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more.